Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and let me, as others have, thank you for the enormously hard work that you and your staff have done in putting together this budget, and thank Senator Gregg and his staff for their hard work as well. And let me echo Senator Cardin's remarks that all of us are wishing the people of North Dakota the best in these very troubling times. Mr. Chairman, we're sitting in a beautiful room here in Washington, D.C., and sometimes it is easy in this room, in the Beltway, to forget about the reality of life all over this country. And the reality is that President Obama and all of us and the American people are now facing the most severe economic crises that we have experienced since the Great Depression. In almost every area of the country, people are losing their jobs, they're losing their homes, they're losing savings that they hope to retire on, they're losing their ability to send their kids to college, and in many ways they're losing their hope. That's what's going on in this moment, and it's imperative that we not forget about that for 1 second. It's also important to understand that a year and a half ago in this room, we had a Secretary of the Treasury when some of us said, hey, we don't think the economy is doing so good. We heard the word robust. Remember the word robust? Robust economy, marvelous economy, all the while that the foundations of our financial system were rotting. And we were told how marvelous and wonderful, all the while that the middle class was shrinking, poverty was increasing, and the gap between the very, very rich and everybody else was growing wider. What I like about Barack Obama, as opposed to the president we had for 8 years previously, is he has the guts to lay it on the line and tell us and the American people the reality of what we're facing. Now, we can choose to hide, push it under the rug again, or we can face it. And the reality of what we are facing, among other things, is that our health care system is disintegrating, the most expensive in the world, 46 million without any health insurance, even more underinsured, and we spend twice as much per person on health care as any other nation, all of which guarantee health care to all of our people. I'm waiting to hear what my Republican friends have to say about 46 million Americans with no health insurance and the fact that we spend more than any other nation. Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, for 8 years, we ignored, virtually denied the reality of global warming. We denied it. It became the laughingstock of the entire world. For decades, people were talking about energy independence. Our situation only became worse. Well, we can forget about that and wait for the $5 gallon gas and be dependent on Saudi Arabia and Venezuela for our gas, or we can move to energy independence. But it's going to take work to move to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. You know what? It's going to cost us some money to do that, but at the end of the day, we are going to be a lot stronger and a lot healthier country when we do that. In terms of education, 400,000 Americans cannot afford to go to college today. Millions more are leaving school, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 in debt. That situation is only becoming worse. And our nation, which used to lead the world in the percentage of our people going to college, is now falling back. Do you think we are going to compete internationally if we have a smaller percentage of college graduates than other countries around the world? This country today has got to address those issues. And if we do not address those issues, we're not going to become the country that we have to become. And in the midst of all of that, and when we talk about taxes, we have to understand that we have the most unequal distribution of wealth and income of any major country on earth, with the top 1% earning more income than the bottom 50%, top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 90%. So when some people say, oh, these huge tax increases, yeah, we do think that we need a fairer tax system, that maybe we will give tax breaks to the middle class and working families while we ask the wealthy to start assuming their fair share of taxes. A word on reconciliation. As some of my colleagues know, reconciliation has been used 19 times since 1980, 14 of those times during a Republican administration. Reconciliation has been used to cut Medicaid, cut Medicare, and cut education during the Reagan years. Reconciliation has also been used to provide health insurance to millions of children through the S-chip program, to increase taxes on upper-income people and to enact welfare reform during the Clinton years. Reconciliation was also used by President George W. Bush to cut tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires, among other things, resulting in a $1.7 trillion increase in the deficit over a 10-year period. So my simple question is, if reconciliation is such a good idea in order to give tax breaks to billionaires, why is it such a bad idea to provide health care to all of our people or make this country energy independent? That's my question.
Do I get to answer that?
Well, we can talk about it anytime you want to. And you were, as you know, Senator Gregg, voting for reconciliation for tax breaks for billionaires. But on the other hand, I guess you have a whole lot of problem when we use reconciliation to provide health care for all of our people. Last point that I would make, which many of my Republican friends have made over the years with regard to reconciliation, and it's a valid point. The point that they have made, and most people don't understand, when we talk about moving this country forward, Mr. Chairman, if my memory is correct, in the last session, Republicans filibustered 95 times. Is that right? Making us get 60 votes to pass anything. And I think when the Republicans had the majority, one of the points they made is, hey, it's hard to do anything to get 60 votes. Well, it was hard for you to do anything to get 60 votes. It's hard for us to do anything to get 60 votes. Last point. All of us who are elected officials, we go home. And all of us, I'm sure without exception, have heard our constituents say, you guys run for office and you make all kinds of promises. Then when you get elected, you forget the promises that you made. Barack Obama is being roundly criticized. You know why? Because he is keeping the promises that he made to the American people during the campaign. This budget is a reflection of what he told the American people what he was going to do, and people are now criticizing him because he, in fact, is doing what he said he was going to do. So, Mr. President, I support, Mr. Chairman, we haven't made you president yet, have we? I support the Obama budget. I support the need for real health care reform and energy independence and making college education affordable to all of our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Did the Senator want to respond?
Well, I don't want to carry out the debate too far, but I will just associate myself with the remarks of Senator Byrd, which were quoted earlier, on the issue of reconciliation relative to issues of public policy that are as broad and as deep as health care and carbon tax.
Not think that giving hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country, increasing the deficit, not be a broad public policy?
Well, I guess if you want to, I know that Senator Grassley wants to speak here, but I think maybe the Senator would want to go back and read Senator Byrd's summary of what reconciliation is for. Reconciliation is supposed to be used in the budget process. It is legitimate to use it for the purposes of adjusting tax law, for the purposes of adjusting existing tax law, for the purposes of adjusting existing policy in the area of entitlements. Very legitimate. That's why I voted for it under the Clinton administration. But it is not appropriate to use reconciliation, which cuts off the role of the Senate in the process of developing policy, on something as broad and as extensive as rewriting the health care laws of this country. Because basically, you do the health care laws of this country under 20 hours with no debate and an up or down vote, and you rewrite them all, then you might as well be the House of Representatives. Now, I know the Senator served in the House of Representatives, maybe enjoyed it more than he does the Senate.
Oh, no, I love the Senate.
I do not enjoy the House of Representatives' approach to debate, amendment, and discussion. I think that's what makes us different. It's why I associate myself with Senator Byrd's
Well, let me just briefly respond, and I would conclude by saying I think what the function of reconciliation is in the eye of the beholder.
No, it's not.
Well, I think
Absolutely
it is.
not.
Well, if you vote for tax breaks for billionaires, and that's okay, and you criticize us for trying to provide health care to all people, I think that's in the eyes of the
Nobody's criticizing you for trying to provide health care to all people. In fact, we have a very aggressive program to do that on our side of the aisle, and we intend to do it. And we intend to do it in the form of debate and amendment, which is what you need, because we've got some ideas that may actually be constructive in this process. I know Senator Grassley does, because he's been a leader on this for a long time. And I don't think Senator Grassley or I or some people on your side want to have those